All right, guys. We are going into the grand finals of the ESL NA Weekly number 135. We've got Kaiser Gaming Solar up here in the top right, BYUN for Shopify Rebellion in the bottom left. And I am especially excited. I know some people say these guys aren't really winning championships right now, Pig. They're not the best of the best. Oh yeah? These guys are both some of the best online players. They've had big troubles bringing it in Premier tournaments, but here in the online weeklies, holy crud, the number of grand finals these guys get to. And not just that, but how evenly matched they are with each other. It is styles and matchups that make the game exciting. It isn't just two best players in the world, right? Rogue versus Maru. Sometimes it's great games. More often it's a bit of a shit show. The games are pretty one-sided, right? Because of the style both players play. And it's the same with Solar and BYUN in that the style on the opposite end makes it super exciting. They are at 164 map wins for BYUN and 162 for Solar. That's right, 326 maps, and it is almost exactly even. They are within 2 maps of each other, and even though BYUN's ahead 2 maps, Solar's actually up 3 series. It's actually a 52% win rate in series for Solar, whereas 48% for BYUN, which tells us BYUN obviously has a few more close losses to Solar, right? So he's overall, whereas when he does beat Solar, he does crush him a little bit more, which is why he's ahead on the maps. But kind of interested to see what happens, because we've seen BYUN nuking Solar. We've seen Solar have crazy unlucky moments. We've also seen him just turn it up a notch and be one of the few Zergs who can hold up against Maru and really fight him and really show just how awesome he is as a player. Like, I feel like 2000 Atmos, he played versus Maru. I think it was group stage, season 2 of GSL this year, and he was so close to breaking Maru's like turtle. There was just a point in the game where he kept attacking into a really bad position, and he was always so close to getting the banelings on top of the ghosts, and then like the last 2 tank shots would like kill his last banelings. The ghost would survive. Maru would reset, barely start to get back in a stable position. Another wave would like almost kill him. So Solar's like a guy who regularly takes it to the best in the world. It's just he doesn't string together those performances enough to win championships in the last few years. He has won quite a few championships, starting back in 2014, DreamHack, Stockholm. I think he won a Valencia as well. He's won a few of those big international tournaments. SSL in early Legacy of the Void. Dark and Solar were always playing in the grand finals of the Star Leagues at the beginning of Legacy of the Void. They were having these big ZvZ battles where we were really learning what Zerg vs. Zerg was in Legacy of the Void. BYUN, on the other hand, of course, at that same time, 2016, decided to go win a world championship while teamless and being a massive underdog that everyone counted out. And he was super friggin' emotional, and he had his bloody adorable puppy, and he wore his heart on his sleeve. So BYUN is a fan favorite, who I would say has had a bit of a dampened hype around him in the last year or two, because he's had a big struggle with his wrist injuries getting those big LAN performances. He tenses up at LAN and gets a lot of pain in his wrists. He has to keep pausing. And I think a lot of the hardcore crowd have said, no, he can't. He's too injured. He's too washed. He can't hold it up to the big dogs anymore. And then I see him play it online when he's relaxed, and guys, he just looks like a god again. So I think for BYUN and Solar, do not count them out of the top echelon. They can still absolutely beat the very best guys. BYUN regularly beating MaxPax recently in the weekly cups, when MaxPax is beating just about everyone else. If he can dodge, BYUN, he usually wins these things. And Solar's been a big obstacle as well. Solar did take out Dark to get to this grand finals. BYUN taking out a bunch of fantastic players as well. Raynor, MaxPax. Okay, Raven is going to drop an auto turret to kill the Overlord. Now that seems unnecessary to me, guys. I don't know about you guys, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that's a bit unnecessary. I do like the opening though, the Marine drop. Notice how this pushes back Solar's vision. So he's had to pull all of his Overlords further back so they can't get killed by the Marines. So this just puts him in a bit of a corner vision-wise, makes it a little harder for him to spread his creep. And now the Hellion Raven is going to be able to come in, and rather than having to use scans to snipe those tumors, he's going to be able to just pick them off. But Solar, very good usage of his queens. Notice he's got Queen Group, number 1, number 3, and he's got his Zerglings in the backup on number 2. So great just spread of his units there. And oh my god, another 2-base all in. Are you kidding me? BYUN is so focused on his 2-base pushes lately. And there are some lovely tank positions on these maps. It's so funny because every season I do a map preview when we get new maps and I talk about the tank positions. And people are like, dude, no one even does these tank pushes. You never even see it. But when we see BYUN in EPT, dude, he does some brutal marine tank pushes. So if you take this 4th base as solar, dude, you got to watch out. Tanks can wedge themselves in here and here. There's also a really good spot just down here. You can put a tank there and there, and you've got to kind of attack around these corners. Attacking around corners is a situation you always want to avoid in StarCraft. Because say there's an army here. If you attack from here with a bunch of Zerglings, they're going to get stuck on each other all along these corners, and they're going to clump up to the maximum, and things like tanks, Widow Mines will do massive damage to them. Not to mention, you just won't be able to get on top of the opponent. So when Solar sees what's happening, he needs to come around with big swooping flanks. He needs to do backstabs, all that sort of stuff. And he's going to have a really hard time because his Bane speed is so late. His lair is coming up in about 20 seconds, which means his Baneling speed isn't going to be here till almost 9 minutes. His maybe 8:30, but his 1-1 upgrades are very well timed. So he's ahead on the 1-1. So his Pure Ling Queen actually might be able to hold up pretty well in these fights. Oh god, BYUN, watch out, there's mass lings waiting. Oh no, BYUN, this is such a dumb way to lose the game. BYUN! Oh, mass ling run by, so lazy for BYUN. And Solar there with a fantastic run by is going to do a lot of damage. Even just pulling the whole army home alone is huge. It looks like something ran in there and died. The Marines and the SCVs come back. It looks like about 8 SCVs should go down by the end of this. It's a lot of Zerglings to lose, but Solar actually escaped with a few of them. So 9 SCVs, he escaped with some of them, and he sees what he's up against. He sees barracks with no add-ons, pumping units. He knows that's a big all-in. I think he should set up for another wave. I think those Lings should have been making Banes, and he should be going in one more time from behind. Solar's got Bane speed on the way. He needs to buy himself another minute here. So about 8.5 minutes is going to be when he gets to that. He's got +2 carapace on the way. That's going to be huge as well. Ooh, Lings run into the army. He's got a lot of Lings, but this time the wall will be raised. BYUN playing a little bit safer right now. The Raven is here. Scans ahead just to see where Solar's army is. Bane speed's not ready. And look at this. BYUN's got a very nice tank position. Where's that Raven? Just hovering. He can drop auto turrets whenever he feels like it. The Lings are there. Tank is going to siege up on the defense. BYUN really respecting the backstabs there. And that tank position we were talking about earlier, BYUN's got it. Look at how far these tanks reach, guys. That dotted white line is deadly. Now, Solar gets hit by a tank and pulls back. Wise play by Solar. Now, you forced him to sit at home with a lot of units. So what you can do with Solar now is you bring these guys in as a flank and you sandwich this army from every side. Solar thinking about doing it, but this army's a bit too clumped right now. He should be coming from the left as well. This is not a good surround for Solar. So this is a bit average, his positioning. They're all going to clump on the south. Bad angling for Solar. I don't know if it's going to do it. He has so much Ling Bane. Does it matter? If you have this much Ling Bane, maybe not. One Baneling gets through, but only one. Not enough to kill all the Marines. My god, what a bloody massacre. BYUN kills so many Lings and Banes there. But he does lose 2 siege tanks. It says 2. One of them got killed by friendly fire. He's lost 3 siege tanks. This is why this unit's lost tab is a bit imperfect. Friendly fire doesn't show up. Anyways, that base he's transferred his workers to has Solar, and scarily enough, +2 carapace, +2 melees on the way. He's mining so much more. He can afford to trade a little poorly. Another trade like that last one, and he's dead. There's only 2 tanks and a few Hellions here, but that's still a very scary force to deal with. Now, interestingly, BYUN's going to move down the south. He's sending a double drop back. Raise the wall. There we go. Tank and a few Marines is going to scare back those Zerglings. He's got a double drop in the... Oh, I like this. So he's going to double drop the top and hit the bottom with a big old spready. He's got to set that army up, though. Be very careful. The Raven is going to give him good value over time with this. Tank's just trying to threaten. The drop in the main is where the damage could have happened. Solar reacting, but a lot of his Lings are out of position. The Marines could ball up and definitely get a good trade. BYUN's going to have to micro this, though. Tries to focus the spore down. He gets it, and he's going to pick up. Loses a few Marines. Not too bad, though. Tanks get forward. Ooh, those tanks get some good shots off. Take out one of the Queens and a Creep Tumor, actually. So there we go. The Creep Tumors go down. Nice scan to deal with all that. And he's going to take out Solar's 4th. Again, Solar back to 3 bases one more time. And I got to say, guys, this is why you go layer into Baneling speed. It's because it allows you to shut down the initial push before he gets the first tank position. Once he gets these tank positions, BYUN is a master. He wants to put that tank up there. He misdropped it there. He meant it to be a bit further forward in the corner. It's okay, but it's not exactly what he was looking for. Behind this, big army is building up at home. He's still got the double drop in the north. But they're going to run into a lot of Zerglings. And 2-2 is finished. 2-2 is a huge problem right now for BYUN. He picks up on the top, but his tank gets picked off on the bottom. His army's still looking kind of scary. Remember, attacking around corners very bad here. But BYUN, what damage can he really find? A few drones would be good. But there's now even Hydras coming out with upgrades. That's causing him trouble. BYUN's only on 42 workers. If this fourth can keep mining going, he'll be very happy. There is a ledge there, guys. BYUN is going to try and utilize that ledge potentially. I'm not sure if Marines can even fit on that bad boy. I know Reapers can jump up it, but it's kind of hard to drop on. So he does drop on the high ground. The biotank push does pull back. A single Marine and medevac get left behind. BYUN is still at equal army supply. And the tanks are still very deadly, but it's the Marines versus the Ling Bane where he doesn't do well now because of those 2-2 upgrades. That's where things get bad. He's got a third moving out, but he's kind of forced to continue the all-in attack. He's going double eBay armory. He's not building SCVs right now. He starts them up. He starts some of them up. He's not out of it because he's got a big army. And the Zerg was mostly mining on 3 base, but it does feel to me like Solar has managed to stall the advance, get through a scary phase of the game. Was he inefficient cost for cost? Yes. But did he keep 3 and then 4 bases mining for most of the time? Also, yes. He can afford these losses. Trading 5 units for everyone sounds bad until you remember that Lings and Banes allow you with this mobility to control the map, have a much bigger economy. And these drops going to try and be annoying. Liberator on the south side, not a bad move, but I do think he may have spotted it. Drop there being as distracting as it can. And the Hive does start up. Seeing that is going to worry BYUN. He knows that he's got to push before the Lurkers and the Vipers get out. His army's very tank lib focused. You can see his army gathering at the front, ready to move out. Liberator gets a few drones here and a bunch of Zerglings, but the Hydras could take it out. Quick pullback, nicely done for the Lib. Drop in the north does go down. A triple drop of Marines is going to move through the north. I like that move, man. 3 full medevacs on the north. That medevac does almost go down, but it does head home. Liberator just moves off into the dead space. He's going to siege on the edge, so if you stand on the edge, grabs a Zergling kill. Why the heck not? Solar though, Hive's on the way. Where's that Lurker den? He hasn't built it yet. Does need to start that. Otherwise, it's just Hydra, Bane, Viper, which, to be fair, is good enough. Second factory and a 4th command center. BYUN's going to take it to late game. Can you believe it? Wow. Well, I mean, Solar's, I think, anticipating another all-in, so Solar's not really building up a big work account. He's just waiting for the push to come. And BYUN doing something that's such an awkward transition can actually be powerful just because Solar doesn't expect it. Great transfuses, though. Takes the Liberator out without losing a queen there, or I think maybe 1 queen went down, but the other one does not fall. The Marines are going to start to deny some creep. Massive triple drop in the main. He's going for the Hive! It's a Hive snipe. BYUN says, let's go. If I could get the Hive, maybe this is worth losing all these Marines, but oh no, the transfuse comes in. And the units get there. He loses about 15 Marines, does not get the hatchery. It's not the end of the world. I guess he's got 11 Marines left there out of 24, so he loses 13 Marines. You know, it's expendable. It's just a bit of minerals at this stage. He's got 7 tanks, 69 Marines, 1 Raven, 2 Hellbats. No Liberators anymore. Only 1 Viper building. I feel like for Solar in this scenario, where he's been building tanks all game, you actually want 3 Vipers. But he's got so much Lingbane Hydra, does it even matter? I'm not quite sure. The Marine's very clumped there. You gotta be careful as BYUN. These guys could get stuck on each other. Ooh, a little dicey, but Solar doesn't want to chase onto the bridge either. The bridge is a dangerous zone. Raven is still full of energy. It's on 5 kills so far, but remember, its auto turrets also can tank a lot, and its anti-armor missile can effectively be a +3 attack upgrade on top of their current upgrades for those Marines. So that is devastating. If you anti-armor missile all the Banelings and Lings, they get destroyed. Massive Ling run by, but he's got a good section in Marine tank there. Drop goes back into the main base, doing some damage, being annoying. The Marines clean up the Ling run by of Solar. Army pushing forward on the front. These Marines looking a little far forward there. You can see Solar was looking for it. His army kind of shimmied forwards and then went back. Marine drop hiding in the top right side of the map. Got the Marines coming on. He's trying to work forward. That's a lot of Ling Bane. He's going to have to keep these tanks sieged, man. Look at that tank line, though. My lord, that's a big tank line. I would not want to chase into that, especially not with only 2 Vipers, even with some Blinding Clouds. I mean, Blinding Cloud there, you might hit 3 tanks, hit 2 there. I think Solar needs to be going for a bit more of a backstab, though. I wouldn't want to attack into this position. He's going around a corner. Oh, Solar's flanks have lacked something this game, but the Blinding Clouds are good, and these other tanks are just a bit too far back, so they're not even taking part in the fight. So as much as I criticize the angle, I think BYUN's positioning was far from perfect. These tanks will get a few juicy shots off, but they will go down. Liberator on the south side will find something. Oh, double Liberator. Solar's just going to go for broke right now, but there are tanks and Libs and Marines unloading at home. I don't know if this is the right move for Solar. He's going to take out some of these Marines on the map, but guess what? The Liberators do take out 9 workers. This one should hopefully be unsieging and saving its life for BYUN, but I think Solar's got it. Queens are on top. BYUN does keep it alive for now, but he's going to siege on the Spore. He's a bit panicked, just kind of clicking things. These Marines he knows are going to go down, so he's just YOLOing them. Liberator does actually go around the Spore. Very nice micro for BYUN. And those Marines will all go down. Even more workers falling. What a nuisance he's being. He's even going to avoid the Spore Crawler, but the other Spore will one-shot it. And finally, the Liberator goes down. Solar with 135 army supply. He's also got his 3-3 melee and carapace about to finish. His ultra chitinous plating is on the way. Now, it looks like in the midst of this, the Hive did get sniped down, but he's still got 2 Vipers alive. He's got ultras out as well, so it's an ultra Lingbane Hydra Viper army, a very good army, especially pre-Ghost. And BYUN, he's on 57 workers. He's got 4 bases, but they're all orbitals, and that's also an issue for him. Means they can't be blown up by planetaries, like planetaries by banelings, which is kind of good. Also means they don't defend zerglings or banelings at all, which planetaries are amazing at doing with their splash damage. Now Solar's going to attack up here. Crazy attack up the ramp, but he's got the ultras to lead the charge. The abducts coming in on the Liberators. The Marines, the tanks trying to micro back here. There's so many banelings. The abducts coming forward. The banelings going after those Marines like there's no tomorrow. And remember, the lack of the planetaries is going to be a problem. The Marines trying to get behind the tanks. The banelings are on top of them right now. The Marines turn around. They gun down almost all of these banelings. Tries to do a spready at the last second. Takes them down, but there's Ultraling breaching the natural. These bases, they're so wide open, but there's more Marines in the main. Gets the Ultra Cavern, gets the spawning pool. Oh, BYUN with a big backstab. He loses 19 workers. His economy's looking shit. A snipe on the Ultra does go and take that one out, but I think BYUN, I mean, his economy just took so much damage. He's been on such a low economy all game, and now it's severely wounded. 24 workers going down. He can't really bounce back from that. Solar's only on 57 drones, which is not that high either. He's going to struggle to remax, but he's still got map control. I guess the main base can get sniped one more time. That is an issue for him. He's got 2 Vipers and 16 Hydras, which is going to be really effective for dealing with these drops when he actually goes up there. Another killed hatchery and an infestation pair and 2 drones and a Hydralisk den. Wow, very nicely done, but the abducts will come in. That's what we were talking about. Well, actually, the full medevac does get out of there. Barely gets enough distance to outrange the abduct. Does it matter? Right now, 3 tanks, 6 marauders, 26 marines, and 4 ghosts. I don't think there's enough economy to really continue the ghost production, as scrappy as BYUN's been with his drops in this game, and he's really made a match of it. Those fast upgrades for Solar, the quick 2-2 was so powerful for slowing down the advance, and I think Solar's just done a great job of playing a heavy army style. He's been in the 60s of workers pretty much the entire game, but that's correct for the situation that he was in. And BYUN, I mean, he's not rebuilding SCVs non-stop right now. I think he might continue trying to, but he's got to try and take a 5th. And for him, that just means landing this one down here, I think, because he doesn't really have the mobility to defend any other way. He's going to try and move forward with some bio ghosts, but he's so outnumbered. He's 60 army supply down. He does drop in the south. That'll do some damage, but he's got to get back to the safety of these tanks on the high ground. Always scary to go up these ramps as a Zerg player. But look at that. 6, 7, 8, 9 kills going down. But he will lose these Marines. Just gets behind the minerals and does manage to take out a few Zerglings before he goes down. Oh, some snipes will go down on a few of the Hydras. He's got to be careful to not get surrounded, but BYUN getting some value. He's killed about 4,000 resources more than he's lost. And as I said, where do you take the 5th? Because you can only really defend this one central area right now. He's got tanks spread across this whole middle area. And his whole thing is like, hey, I'll just defend here. But I mean, you can't take the top. I think this base has got to be it. And then maybe just mule it. Maybe don't put SCVs on it. Ultra Cavern being rebuilt along with +2 range attack right now. The tech has all been rebuilt in the natural for Solar. Hive, spawning pool, infestation, Hydra Den, Evo chambers, the whole lot. But BYUN far behind. He's going to be looking for the magic. Now, nukes definitely can do magic, especially when you're playing against Solar. I'd say this is the sort of the game where Solar is so far ahead, so solidly in the lead. It is the sort of game where he might get hit by a nuke just because he's Solar. And that's no hate on Solar, guys. It's literally his star sign is Nukey McNuke face. That's he was born under the sign of the nuke, and it is his destiny, you know? It's right when he's winning the game, you know, I see a nuke landing on his face. We haven't seen a nuke in production, so we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're talking about ways BYUN could possibly win the game. And it's definitely a moonshot for BYUN at this point. Oh my god, that's a lot of Zerg. Oh, the blinding clouds on the tanks are devastating. The banelings rolling forwards. A beautiful spready from BYUN. But there's only so much space to spread, and there is just far too much butter, mate. Far too much butter on BYUN's toast. Solar just smothering it, mate. I'm talking, hey, do you want a bit of Terran toast with that butter? And he says, no, not really. I'll just cover it in my Zerg booty, man. And he does manage to take BYUN out there. BYUN going for the 2-base push that he's had so much success with lately, tries to transition out of it, but Solar holds firm and gets map 1. Right, all right, guys. Oh, what the heck? Guys, Solar is in the bottom left, but he's getting proxy racks and he sees it immediately. Oh, BYUN was gambling on him sending his Overlord out to the left and out to the right. Oh my god, or the Overlord going straight across the map. But Solar was actually sending the Overlord over here looking for proxy barracks. He anticipated it. A third SCV's here. He's doing a 3-racks. It's a Marine. It was going to be a 3-racks anyway. Does he still go for it? I don't think so. Now that it's been spotted, I think he takes a gas. Yeah, he takes a gas. He's like, okay, this is being spotted. This is probably not going to work, but look at that. That SCV hops to the inside. Solar's like, are you kidding? How lucky can you get, dude? This SCV is exposed, but there we go. He hops away. Both SCVs are exposed. Oh, okay, one SCV goes down. That barracks finishes. That SCV is going to fall. Is he, though? Ah, okay. One Marine will be able to get out at least. Will this SCV double back and try to build it? It's a lot of lost mining time for Solar. This is not a free win by any means, but great anticipation by him. Notice he's delayed his gas. He realizes just defending is the most important thing. That barracks does get cancelled there. And we are seeing BYUN building a second depot. Oh, nice Marine micro. Gets a drone. Can he get a second one? Doesn't look like it. Just miss micros a tiny bit there. And he's going to go for a Reaper. He cancels the Marine, starts a Reaper. Once it's being scouted and shut down like this, often the Zerg is very slow on ling speed, so you can potentially at least deny their third for a while and try to play it out. But he's already lost 2 SCVs. Obviously, he cut workers to do what he did. His command center is about 30 seconds late from a normal expansion, and he's behind 3 workers as well. Solar, on the other hand, is nowhere near a normal Zerg position. His queens are now on the way, but they're slightly delayed, and of course, his ling speed and his third base are miles away. As the dust settles, I would say Solar's solidly ahead, maybe 4 workers ahead of where he'd normally be in a game. But we'll have to see how it irons out. It's very hard to read these situations, and I will be the first person to admit that I'm an absolute rookie when it comes to figuring out who's ahead and behind after a proxy barracks gets defended like that. Because I just don't do many proxy barracks builds, and I don't get to defend against them too often. Only players with fantastic micro are confident in really committing to such a heavy micro strategy, and there's a lot of like, hey, I hope your Overlord goes this way, and I'll proxy barracks here. I hope your Overlord goes that way, I'll proxy barracks over here. There's a lot of like mind games in that regard, and that is, of course, why BYUN drops the question mark, and Solar's like, hey, dumbass, you proxy barracks all the time, dude. It's kind of predictable at this point. Ling speed's still a while away. He's going to have to get pushed off this third and over to the other third. As long as Solar remembers to spread his creep, I think he's okay. I actually don't like this third base. I think the other third's way better. I guess people don't like it because tanks get in this corner. I think that's what people don't like. Whereas any position out here, it's kind of wide in the open, where Zerg's a bit happier to engage. I also feel like Roach Ravager is so sick on this map, and getting lurkers up is incredible as well. Lots of wide open areas where like masses of lurkers, hydras, roaches, lurkerling bane can run in and just siege a base and destroy it. Now there is a third command center up there, as well as a reactor building on the factory. One of the downsides of having your barracks on the map is, of course, your factory has to build its own add-on, which means Hellion pressure is massively delayed. All right, third CC finishing in the main. Great thing about a quick third CC is you don't need to build depots literally forever. 36 out of 61 supply, so BYUN can just focus on building everything else. And a couple Zerglings being built. So Solar's playing pretty darn safe so far. I would like to see him push his Overlords further out. You can tell he's been traumatized by Vikings, so he's playing very conservative. And he's going to be happy about that, because BYUN is indeed going a Viking. You'll find that out very soon. Reaper comes in, sees there's still no lair. And this Overlord's going to sacrifice in. Viking will see it. And it's hard to read, so you don't really know there's a third command center, you might think, but think about it. He saw no depots. Solar should know that there's no... he should know that there is a third command center. Otherwise, these depots would have started ages ago. In a normal game, depots would start here in the wall off at about 3 minutes 30. with a 2 command center build, and if they've gone for the really quick 3rd command center, they'd start after the 4-minute mark, maybe 4:15, something like that, 4:30. So in this case, it doesn't start till about 4:45, something like that. That's very late, right? Very late. That tells you that indeed he had a 3rd command center up in the main base. Extra barracks go down. BYUN will go for 2 engineering bays and then 2 gases after that. So just standard set piece follow-up, same thing that you normally do as the Terran. And for Zerg, we've got Baneling Nest into Lair. So the Lair could be a little quicker. He's not going to have the fastest Baneling speed. He's gone triple gas as well. Solar could play Mutalisks from here if he chooses to. Could just be for Baneling speed and 1/1 upgrades, right? Making sure he can start all of those at a pretty good timing. He's also got a well-timed 4th base. Creep spread's doing well so far. If you can push it a little further out, though, that would be fantastic. Solar's got all of his queens on one group right now. A little bit lazy. If he had the queens split, he could be both pushing the Viking back and pushing this creep forward. That's what we've seen Raynor doing a lot of. Solar's not capitalizing on that. I don't know if he's expecting a battle cruiser or something, but his queens running around in one blob is a little awkward. Finally spreading that creep there and over there. 4th and 5th barracks coming up. And we'll check in on BYUN's combat shield upgrade, make sure he doesn't forget that in a little while. It's not the most important upgrade to start at high priority, but he will need to do it in the near future. As we said, guys, double upgrades, double gas, 4th and 5th barracks, 3rd command center's landed, and we all know what comes up next. That is the armory. So combat shield starts. Where's that armory? Should be going down in about 30 seconds time. Lings and Banes are on the way. Vikings still patrolling over there, just trying to keep this area open of vision for the Zerg so we can't send overlords down the left side of the map. And supply-wise, we're seeing a 20 supply lead. Now, that's very good for Solar. Keep in mind, though, all the reactors are just finishing up. The Terran is always down on supply, and then when all their reactors kick in and they're non-stop building Marines for a few minutes, their supply jaggedly jumps up and increases and catches up and sometimes even gets ahead. So as much as this looks like a good opening for Solar so far, and I do like his worker count, 70 workers, 4th base, moving out to take a 5th, I think it's a good position for Solar. Don't think it's anywhere near game over. And a perfectly timed armory. Look at that, 25 seconds left, 24 seconds left. Perfectly timed armory to start 2-2. It's been so often people forget that recently, so I'm very impressed with BYUN's macro. Really showing he can recover from a bit of a messy start. All right, gets a few creep tumors down. 80 drones for Solar, my lord. That's an economy, son. Okay, Lingbane forces the pickups. 1 Marine with no space in the medevac does get killed. Queens respread the creep, man. The creep is getting out there, that's for sure. BYUN's 2nd factory and a 4th command center. That's going to allow him to have a tech lab so he can get drilling claws for his Widow Mines, which will be great versus the Lingbane. Solar goes Infestation. Now that, of course, can be used for a quick hive. You can pair that up with Ultralisks, but more likely to go Lurkers. I've often said Solar's the best Lurker late-game ZVT player in the world. I don't think he necessarily is anymore, but he's still up there. His Infestor Broodlord transitions, if it goes to Mega late game, are some of the best as well. He's very good at managing his Infestors and utilizing that. But like most Zergs, he doesn't want to go straight to that point because it's a much slower composition. Gives the Terran a lot of time to mass up their defense. It's only when the Terran really secures his half of the map, gets a lot of planetaries everywhere, that you're forced to go there. This map doesn't have that many bases either. Double drop in the back. Oh my lord. Oh, BYUN's going to lose a full medevac, and there's plenty of Lings there, and the army gets wiped on the front at the same time, or at least pushed back. Some of the units do survive, but a very good defense there. An F2 medevac as well, the other one by the looks of it. Oh no, BYUN's going to lose another full medevac. Oh no, he's just going to get rolled over. His double drop gets rolled, and he gets shoved in the middle of the map. And he is just getting absolutely smashed. The Widow Mine gets set off by a single Zergling. He's going to try and drop here, spread the SCVs, see if he can do something. Oh man, great scramble by BYUN to survive. That was really well done. Only loses 13 SCVs. It's still a disastrous position, having lost the double drop the way he did. And so many units, but it's amazing that he's alive. He's going to start doing Widow Mine drops, one of the lowest commitment in terms of APM, attention, and resources to get massive potential damage. And he's just going to try and turtle up to the late game. This map is very good for Terran in the late game. You only get a few bases each, and they are so close to each other. Look at this sensor tower, man. BYUN can see the Zerg on like 60% of the map with that sensor tower. Widow Mine drop comes in, but it gets completely dismantled. Lingbane coming in on that left side, but there's a Widow Mine burrowed on the invisible bridge. I don't know how that works. Science, bitches. Oh, good old position there by Solar. And it's an orbital as well. It's not a planetary. Lingbane coming in on all sides. BYUN's got to watch out. The boys need to get out of there. The drilly boys, he gets them out. You got to lift that orbital. Lift that orbital, mate. Ooh, turning the SCVs to repair. A little bit of a mistake there. The Marines on the left side will defend. Is Solar getting a bit too wasteful in these trades? He's now down 1,000 resources. It was dead even after that first big attack, which is, of course, amazing. 88 workers, fully saturated 4th and 5th mineral line. Guys, I think he can be a lot more wasteful. To answer my question that I asked a moment ago, is he being too wasteful? The answer is heck no. Throw the kitchen sink at BYUN, man. Right now, you're throwing the ocean at him, and BYUN has to grow gills and find a way to breathe underwater. That's the only way he's coming back in this game. He's got to get some full-on friggin' Aquaman shit going. Okay. 1 Widow Mine. 2 Widow Mines still left. 1 more fires. He's got 1 left. No. Oh, there we go. Still 1 more Widow Mine, but it gets blown up before it can shoot. The second factory is burning. The command center is lifted. BYUN microing out of his mind right now just to survive, but there's still 4 banelings there, and they say, hello, Mr. SCVs. Great depot raise, man. BYUN's micro is lit. Oh, the SCVs looking like juicy targets. They're naturally spread out a bit, though, as they do with long-distance mining. And BYUN, he's hanging on like a bloody champ. 2,700 resources lost in his favor now. And if he can just stabilize, maybe wall this base off, that'd be good. He's thinking about counterattacking right now. Solar's making Banes right outside his base. I mean, he's got to just keep his army split. Widow Mines constantly burrowed. He's got these 2 Widow Mines on the far left flank, but I feel like Solar's just shoving up the guts at this point. He doesn't even need to go to that far right flank. This Widow Mine, oh, look at that. Notice how Solar's just always killing the Widow Mines before they can fire. Very good way of doing it. And is BYUN regretting not building a planetary? Well, I actually think the orbitals are better in this scenario because they can't get targeted. But it just feels like he doesn't quite have enough bio and Widow Mines. He's always just short a handful of Marines, a handful of Widow Mines that would allow him to do this. Nice micro for BYUN, man. But it is an avalanche, a tsunami, a non-stop. It's a Bukaki of Zerg units. It's a cascade. It's Japanese for cascade, for those who don't know. Waterfall. Another word for the same thing. You guys, yeah, I've learned a lot of names for waterfall over the years of letting people know about that. They're like, did you know in Slovenian waterfall is krish krish? Obviously, I'm just making up a word because a noise. But anyways, Bio's going to counterattack. Solar has an endless stream of units. He's got the 2-0 lead here. I mean, obviously, it's like, hey, this Bio is doing pretty well. But up to the right, there were Lings in his 3rd, killing everything. His 4th lifted. BYUN gets ransacked there, and it all came back to that one detail at the very start of the game, and that was the Overlord path. So you can see here, normal Zerg clicks to the enemy natural, but he clicked to the right side, looking for exactly this move. Great scout for Solar, and from there, he gets it in the bag, easy peasy. All right. What a series that we've had so far, but it is the momentum going the other way right now. He's got to push uphill through a bloody stream of resistance. We've got Shopify Rebellions, BYUN, and he's going to have to fight back with the big macro on the big boy map. In the top right side, we've got Kaiser Gaming Solar. And there we go. Hatchery does go down on the natural. We've got SCVs just building barracks gas. I don't think BYUN's going to SCV scout this time. I may be giggling a little bit to myself as I'm glancing at chat, catching up with the 2 minutes delay of people seeing the comment before. It was an avalanche. It was an avalanche of Zerg, man. Way too much. If you guys Google any of the weird things I say, remember to turn Google Safe Search on. And as many parental restrictions as possible before you hit that search button so you do come up with the nicest results, guys. All right, no scout for BYUN and a reactor first as well. Okay, guys, so I think BYUN's going to go for a marine drop. That's a nice way to start here, usually. We'll see him probably go factory after this as well. Of course, with the reactor, you do need to get a quick second depot because you are going to be pumping out not just SCVs one at a time, but Marines 2 at a time. Marines build in just 18 seconds, so you'll get supply blocked very quickly. And you can see this SCV gets here, bam, factory immediately on 100 gas. Beautiful play by BYUN. And that Marine production starts up ever so slightly delayed as he was prioritizing the factory, but interestingly prioritized the Marines over the SCV production. just to note that. So he did skip a couple of seconds of SCV production. Tells you maybe something about his focus being a little bit more aggressive rather than macro-centered. We'll keep an eye on that and see if that continues to be the direction. If you're going for a big Hellbat timing, way more important to get your units out on time, hit the crispest possible moment. But so far, it looks like a pretty solid follow-up here for BYUN. Lings coming out for Solar, all 4 of them. He's scouting, making sure there's no hidden barracks anywhere on the map. And he will be checking all of those corners as he takes this front third base. Ling speed starts up at about 2 minutes 45 for Solar. 2 queens at the front, so he's not going to put a tumor in the main. If there's ever a main base that needs a creep tumor in it, in my opinion, it's this one. Because you can put a tumor here, it kind of fills in this gap, and then you can spread it all around the main base, and it just fills in all that room, gives you vision on the edges of your base. I think it's really great. Got a little Zergling there, went for a scout, does get shot to death. And the Hellions have been swapped over. So it's not going to be a Marine drop this game, guys. There's 4 Marines out. They are hunting Overlords, pushing back the vision, but not actually getting any kills. Oh, this is really annoying, man. I find this Marine move forward so annoying. This guy's hiding on the pillar, though, so he does see the Marine Hellions coming. And he will get a kill. Oh, very nice. Very nice. Getting an Overlord kill. Solar a little sloppy. He saw they were there, so he should have pulled them back since he saved the first one. Looks like a medevac on the way. Widowmine drop, really? Wow, that's very cutesy. I don't really enjoy the Widowmine drop. He's going the Armory, so that's going to allow him to make these Widowmines invisible. I think this is such a gambly opening, man. I really think it relies on the Zerg shitting the bed a little bit. On the other hand, BYUN maybe knows something that I don't about Solar shitting the bed against Widowmines. It's definitely a surprising build order, and since the lair's kind of late, usually for Zerg, they do have to build spores. So I guess it, by default, forces them to build a spore in each base if they weren't planning to do that already. But I feel like Zergs, by default, usually get spores for safety anyway. And indeed, there we go. If they didn't normally build spores, that would have more of an argument that this forces you to build spores. But as it is, this is more about, hey, I'm going to try and blow some stuff up. So with Zerglings available, though, the cheapest unit possible to set off the Widowmines, that's a bummer. Queens on the front should stop this Widowmine, especially if he pulls some drones. Widowmine drop goes in the main base, but there's a spore there. That Widowmine does not fire on the left side. Widowmine hits the Queen and bam, achieves absolutely nothing. And that's basically my thoughts on Widowmine drops in this matchup, guys. One of the most trash openings you can possibly do. It really does rely on the Zerg shitting the bed. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Solar had very early spores, so hats off to him for that. But he knew there could be a quick Marine drop, Hellion drop, Liberator, anything like that. Could be Banshees. So he just played very safe, and BYUN is once again going for a 2-base push. BYUN's been so aggressive recently, and he's won some grand finals one-sidedly with this, but he's hitting the point where he's getting predictable, and this is BYUN's favorite place to be, guys. Even with all the work he's done on his macro play recently, BYUN is at his core a guy who likes to do the same thing over and over again, get really aggressive in his opponent's face, and then just do it repeatedly until he's perfect at it. The problem is, man, in 2022, players are so good at StarCraft on the strategic level, they know how to adapt and counter you, and he is just a bit too predictable here. If we see Baneling speed go up in a moment, actually the gas count's a bit low right now for Solar because the Hellbats are scaring him, so you can't start Baneling speed just yet, but I feel like Solar is already up 15 workers at the 6-minute mark and defended all the pressure, and because he's gone for this pressure, the push itself is not that fast. +1 attack, 5 racks Marine production. Gary and Bruce down here are building depots non-stop. The Overlord did get cleared off the map. Let's look at the units lost tab. So 2 Overlords, 6 Zerglings, a drone, 2 tumors for 3 Widowmines. Not that amazing. Looks like an Overseer just got cleaned up by some Stim Marines, but that means Solar saw exactly what he's up against. And he's got Baneling speed on the way. His double Evo Chambers just finished. Will he make 1-1, or will he just try to make more Banelings right now? Looks like more Banelings for the moment. His 4th hatchery starts on the bottom side, interestingly. Wow, okay. I think he was expecting BYUN to push the north, as that's where BYUN has pushed historically, but not this time around. The Widowmine doesn't want to waste its shot. Oh, it almost dies. And the Zerglings take it out. Just a single Zergling one-taps that Widowmine to finish it off. Nicely done. And that means that stim is wasted, guys. He's only got 3 medevacs, and only one of them's here. He's picking up more Marines and tanks, bringing them over. Solar cancels the hatchery wisely and takes another hatchery up to the top. Double upgrades are on the way, nothing but Ling Bane. Solar's going to go for a giant Ling backstab. BYUN is ready for this. I know that looks like it's open, but it definitely is not, guys. We saw that before with the Ling run by. Okay, here we go. Nice drop in. Is he going to elevate everything? Oh, there's a Spore there, though. Okay, Spore gets one shot off very nicely. He's going to siege the tank up, is he? And he's going to siege another tank down here. These guys are going to protect that as well. Oh, this is a very nasty push, but he's going to get counter-pushed at the same time. Banes are going to come in. He's got Marines and tanks on the high ground, though, so I think BYUN's actually going to come out on top of this. Oh, he's got to get out. Those guys need to pull back to the high ground, though, or the low ground, indeed. The Banelings clear the depots, but BYUN, he is on the low ground. He's on the workers. They're long-distance mining. Oh, watch out. The Hellbats are getting surrounded right now. He's only got one tank left. The Banes get some juicy boom booms. And they will manage to keep this hatchery alive with just 500 hit points. BYUN moving out right now. A single Zergling. Absolute Chad starts biting the Marines. Combat shields only just got remembered. Oh, no. That's a disaster because, guys, he's got 45 hit point Marines. When they stim, they're on 35 hit points. A Baneling does 35 damage, soon to be 38 when +1 melee finishes. That is a huge problem for BYUN. It will be rectified in about 50 seconds' time, but... Marine drop in the main. Oh, never hold that thought. Marine drop in the main doing a bit of damage. Doesn't quite get the queen. BYUN, you got to preserve these units. Oh, look how quickly those non-combat shield Marines die. BYUN's getting a little bit sloppy, and that's not going to work. Not against Solar. He can definitely deny this base. I think that tank and Marines is basically unattackable. But here we go. Tank there in a nice position. He's bringing another tank down there as well. His wall-off is no longer in existence, though. He's got to re-wall here. He's going to need the depots anyway, so BYUN really should be re-walling rather than just building the depots willy-nilly all over the shop. Gary and Bruce, rebuild the wall, bruv. Marines coming forwards. They're going to pick off a few of these creep tumors, see if they can get these ones down here. Queens, Banelings on the top. Massling run-by is going to come in. There's no wall-off, and there's not many units at home. That's what I'm talking about. That's going to be the GG, I think. This Ling run-by should win the game and the series for Solar. I don't think BYUN has the numbers. Let's see if he can scramble together a defense. Combat shields is not quite there. Can he get the wall raised? Maybe. It looks like the Ling's back off. They could have shoved in and won the game right there. They could have cleared the entire natural, but Solar's distracted. And this tank position, you cannot attack into that. There is no way you can attack into that. BYUN will deny this base, but Solar's got that base up. He's going to retake a base at the bottom. He's playing whack-a-mole right now. He's like, okay, you killed that one, but I got this other one. BYUN has to basically leave this tank on the high ground if he's not going to rebuild that wall, and it appears he is not. He's just a bit too panicked with what he's focusing on right now. Oh, but this is a big problem for him. I guess he's got the lib plus the tank on the high ground, so he might be okay. Tank's moving forward a little bit. He's going to try and shove in this area, but this gives a flanking angle to Solar. Solar brings these units in and sandwiches from the left side. I think he crushes this army. He's going to go for the run-by. BYUN's moving out! BYUN's moving out! He stibs! Oh no! Okay, good hot pickup there. But now Solar says, okay, I've pinned you at home. Bring these guys in as the rear piece of bread. This here is the piece of bread that we're going to slap on top of the sandwich. This is the peanut butter and jelly, as you Americans would call it, peanut butter and jam here in Australia. And he's ready to jam out. Solar's clumped his army a bit too much, though. I don't know why he didn't come from the left side. He could slam on this army right now. But I think he just wants to wait for 2-2. Ah, okay, so he's got double Hydra upgrades coming in. He's got 2-2. Liberator's being a bit of a dickhead, just denying a bit of mining time. BYUN starts the third command center. Oh god, at 11 minutes. He should just lift his main out. He's got plenty of gas bank. If he lifts his main down, he can actually use that third more like a fourth base. I think that's the better way to do it because his income's going to start dropping pretty drastically. Marine tank moving forward. The tanks are in a nice little angle. Solar is going to come in for the engage. Oh! Massive engagement for Solar trying to break the position. Far too many Banelings. They force the Marines to run. Most of them do pick up. But BYUN's there on the south side at the same time, and he says, back to 3 bases. Get in your room. Get in your corner. Solar says, no one puts Solar in a corner. But little did you realize that BYUN's already put him there. BYUN, what are we doing? Accidental move, command forward, but there's no Banes. He's luring Solar into a pretty bad fight. He's attacking on the north as well. BYUN with a massive stiffy right now, but the Liberator does get sniped by those Queens. Marines shoving in on the natural. They get the Baneling nest. BYUN feels the tempo. He feels the momentum, but he is not ready to give up this series 3-0. He is not going to go quietly into that good night. He's going to keep on kicking and fighting until you make him lose consciousness. You need to make him see black before he's going to tap out, mate. And there we go. Overlords on the south side getting cleaned up. Solar hits a supply block. Dude, he's lost 9 Overlords. In the chaos, he's starting to lose Overlords. He's starting to lose most of his creep control. He's going to see this third base landing for BYUN, which means BYUN does have a follow-up. It's not a great follow-up, but it's a follow-up. And these Marines going to try and guard these tanks. Attacking around these corners, never good against that. Tank on the high ground, not quite reaching that Zergling. Look at how many tanks there are at home, guys. He's got 4 tanks. 2 tanks over here, 4 tanks in total. If he pushes this side again and denies this base one more time before he gets a lot of mining, I mean, BYUN can drop mules like crazy. This base was completely out of minerals, basically. So like I said, he should still probably be moving this out and taking this base up here. He's got his tanks in another annoying position. BYUN is being such a dickhead. Solar needs to slap the cuffs on one of these pushes. He needs to shut it down. He's letting BYUN bully him with just small numbers of units, but you can see the psychological damage. Solar's so worried about attacking around these corners into these devastating little crevices where the tanks are knocked up, where they've walled themselves in, they're building these little defensive positions, and now I feel like BYUN can almost just like send those tanks home, do a double drop, just treat it like a drop, treat this like a drop, go around the back, hit the natural maybe, though the spores are a problem, and start to move forward. He's got 1 tank covering his third on the high ground, covering part of his natural. I think he just leaves that there for the rest of the game. Oh, Solar breaks the position, costs him some units, but does get rid of 2 siege tanks, which are of course very expensive units. Getting rid of the spores is always nice because it does allow you to do more in the future, but BYUN should pull back now. The important thing is to not throw units away. Efficiency is the name of the game. It's what's got him this far, and it's what's going to keep getting him further. He's at roughly 2-to-1 cost efficiency. He's up 20 army supply, but he's down double upgrades. The tanks do not care about the upgrades. 5 siege tanks, though. If they get jumped on by the Lingbane Hydra, BYUN... Oh, God, he might get jumped on. BYUN's not in position yet. Oh, no! BYUN! Oh, he's getting ambushed a little bit here, guys. One of his tanks gets caught. His Marines, though, are off creep. Solar gets 1 tank and baits a stim, but he doesn't get much else. BYUN's okay with that. He's got his 2-2 on the way now. He's got more libs incoming, and he's going to get out of there. Very good choice. Solar is like, let's not let him get that dirty tank position, man. These tanks, though, they move forward. They get a really good position where the Lings and Hydras really can't get at them. And BYUN should kill those last 2 changelings. Oh, look at this position for BYUN, though. Solar's going to try and get him out of there. Will he be able to, or is this a bad decision? He gets rid of 1 tank, but he loses a lot of units in that cost efficiency, man. It is just crazy. BYUN's on the south side. His double drop did get cleaned up, but he cancelled the hatchery, so it's well worth it. Now he's going in hard with these Marines. He's got to get out of there, man. Does lose a few Marines. 3 full medevacs get out, or at least I think he lost 1 of the medevacs had units in it. The tank will get evicted. This game could still go either way. It's 2-2 versus 1-1. Remember, the Lingbane Hydra, much better upgraded than the Bio. Vipers are on the way, which counters the tanks and the libs, which is basically BYUN's entire army. BYUN has still not moved his main base, which is a travesty at this point, guys. He hasn't rebuilt his wall, and he has not moved his main. It's even out of gas. He's got to be moving that. He's got so many workers that are not mining efficiently right now. If he moves that around, I get his pushes are winning him the game up to this point and keeping him in a good spot. But he's also got to keep that economy rolling at this point and think about the future. Because as these Vipers come in, it feels like Adrenal Vipers, +1 range. Solar may just hit a critical point in the tech where his units are too much better than BYUN's. BYUN's going to shove forward again. I think he should only go with, just 2 medevacs. Much easier to micro that. They don't all get stuck behind each other. Baiting into the tank fire very nicely. Hydras make it harder for BYUN to pick this base apart, because the Hydras can kind of gun your units down while barely getting in range. And now with the Viper here, Vipers say yoink yoink. Tank goes down. The Marines still kill a lot of stuff, though. Tank is finally gone. Marines on the south say no base down here for you. Solar's 5th base gets denied for the 5th time right now. BYUN not giving up. But I'm still worried for him. He's just done the BYUN classic where you start +3 armor before +3 attack. There we go. He remembered +3 attack. Good on him. So the Marines will do okay versus the Lingbane now because he's not too far behind on the Carapace, right? Carapace is started for +3 for Solar. But you know what? Your Marines will do okay. Problem, Ultras are coming in and you're on pure Marine. Only your Libs can really deal with that. The Marines are trading so good versus these Hydra Ling maneuvers, though. BYUN's micro getting him good value, but the supply is closing in. Solar's army supply especially getting dangerously close to his. Ultra's starting to mix in, and max energy Vipers if they take all the libs and the tanks out, it's just mass Lingbane Hydra Ultra versus Marines. And if you're fighting on creep especially, you're going to get screwed. Oh my god! He gets baited into a fight, does Solar, and his Vipers aren't there yet. So a bit of a mistake for Solar. BYUN realizing he's got to keep the momentum going. If those Vipers get used perfectly, if he just sieges and sits back, the Vipers are going to wreck him. And case in point, Vipers yoink every single Liberator. One of them, two of them get out of there though, and they re-siege. Marines on the south versus Banelings. They're all staring at each other. Good spready for BYUN. Guns them down. Should be able to kill the 5th base. On the north, hot pickups on the medevacs. Here come the abducts. The Liberators and the tanks trying to fight it out. The Marine drop is going to pull back, but he actually should probably go straight back in. His Marines on the south gunning down the workers, damaging the hatchery. The hatchery at 800 hit points, 600 hit points, 400 hit points, and it's going to go down. BYUN, does he drop the top at the same time? He does. The Banelings and the Ultras trying to deal with it. The Ultra's going to go down. It may be a hard counter to the Marines with chitinous plating, but there was a lot more Marines than that one Ultra list. 20 Marines can still beat an Ultra. He takes out the 4th and the 5th, and BYUN will not lose this series 0-3. He fights back and keeps himself alive. Down, but not out, guys. We've got BYUN in the bottom right side. No scout. Super quick factory opening here for BYUN. And it's going to be getting that second depot out to the left to spot if an Overlord comes in. Interesting. Solar opening up pretty standard over here. Just the hatchery first build. Pulls 2 workers off gas to get a bit more minerals. And he's going out for that nice quick third. Third before Overlord. Oh, that's interesting. Normally you always want the Overlord first, but Solar mixing it up a little bit. He's like, no, no, no. It's a tiny map. I don't want the Reaper to get here and block it. Actually, I think that's why he does that. Ah, yeah, that does make sense. Okay, so BYUN's gone Marine into factory and then reactor. You might wonder why go Marine first. Well, because he wants the first 100 gas to get a very quick factory and then a very quick starport out. So this speeds up his tech, but he missed a bit of production time on his barracks. That's the cost for it. And of course, just a little bit slower into the reactor production. But Zergling sees a single Marine, orbital is up. And you can always take this very safe third in the back that gives you 6 mineral patches, 1 gas. So it's 3/4 minerals, half the gas. A lot of Terran builds don't require a 6th gas. So it's actually so easy to take that and allows you to be much more aggressive without worrying about it. You can build your third on location. I think it's a no-brainer to take this as your third as a Terran player. Solar, of course, doesn't want to take it because he's like, no, no, no. I need the full amount of minerals. I want to go for here with my third. Probably takes his 4th down here. And it might be like a 5th base in the back is how most Zergs go for it. They want to fight for the map. They want to get these more valuable bases up as quickly as possible. Oh. All right, Hellions darting around, man. BYUN's got to be feeling good about the tank positioning in that last game, but I don't think Moondance has the same sort of positions. It has a very short rush. He lets the Zergling walk right in. Oh, BYUN, come on, man. Wake up, buddy. So he's sending his whole 8 Marine drop home to deal with this single Zergling. Oh, okay, he at least shuts it down now. He's going Cloaked Banshees behind that. The Overlord's going to... Overlord hunting Marine drop will move out here. He's going to start to unload and try to take out these Overlords. Ling Backstab getting ready. 12 more Lings on the way as well as these 11. Oh, but BYUN's Hellions are at home, so he's safe right now. But if his Hellions move out and this wall isn't finished or raised... Oh, and it looks like that's what Solar's waiting for. Oh, perfect timing. Hellions drive out, but wait, the wall gets up. Oh, perfect timing for BYUN, I should be saying. Hello. Gets a few Zerglings, walls it off. Real safe play for him. Spore and some Zerglings are there. Remember the Widowmine drop did shit all last game, and Combat Shields was forgotten for ages. He's doing the armory again, guys. It's the same looking opening, but it's just Hellbats this time. Hellbats, Banshees, and Marines. And I don't mind it. I think this is a much better way of doing it than the Widowmine drop. I don't mind 2 Widowmines randomly mixed in, and he's going 3 racks before 3rd command center again. Okay, tank positions are here. That's a brutal tank position if you can get them there. That's super, super sick. Up here is like just unattackable. Yeah, there's a few good positions, I guess. Maybe, I don't know if it's as good as Data, but... see what happens. Banshee coming down that left side. There's a Spore there, but that means he could sit right here. That Spore's going to have to reposition, man. And it's moving to the front. Oh, because he's defending the Hellbat with the Spore. He realizes, oh, Banshee's coming in the back. Hellbat Marine at the front. Great distraction. The Spore will come in and do some damage. The Hellbats and the Marines doing well. Oh, looks like BYUN's not microing that Banshee. Oh, there we go. Does shuffle to the back. It's going to get a few kills, but he's got to pull back. He's got to save the medevac. You did not want to lose this. BYUN's best move with this build is how well he keeps the units alive. That really is his best move. And there we go. Keeps the Banshee alive, keeps the medevac alive. He's still pressuring, still making things uncomfortable for Solar without throwing the units away. He gets 5 workers. workers, clear some creep, get some drones. Like it's not a bad way to start things off. And he does go for the third behind it. So it's not, okay, it's third command center. So it's 3 barracks, then third command center, then 4th and 5th barracks. Now what I love about this is he's done so many 2-base bio tank pushes. That's what you're going to be afraid of as Solar. And as Solar, you don't know about the third, and it's so hard to scout in the back of his base. So Solar's going to be like, oh God, he's 2-base all in. He's not going to realize that BYUN is going to have a way better transition. He's got double engineering bay this time. Yes, he's going to have Marine tank getting forwards on the map and creating scary pushes, but this is a half and half style. It's a bit more production, a few more units being aggressive, but he's still got the economy and he's going to play standard behind it. I love this adaptation, playing around the fear that BYUN is cultivating in this series, especially after that last game. Now, Double Evo and Spire are on the way. Those are very good pieces of tech for controlling the game. Mutas bouncing around the back will be amazing. This kind of tells me Solar doesn't feel too scared. And like, he's like, oh yeah, there's a standard follow-up. But he doesn't really have any scouting. So Solar, if he was getting 2-base all in, I think he might just die in this game, even though he's had a pretty good start. Obviously, Cloaked Banshees, you could be a bit greedier versus Cloaked Banshee and Hellbat commitment. But definitely something you got to be real cautious with, you know, going to 4 bases, 75 workers versus a guy's, you know, 5 racks all in. Oh, man. Okay, good spready on the Hellbats. Oh, the Marines microing pretty well. Very nicely done. Yeah, you get some good little trades here, does BYUN. It's not too bad. I mean, it's not amazing losing those units because this gives Solar freedom. Solar is going up to 75 workers once again. Marine tank coming forward, but I actually think Solar might just roll over him simply because he's been... Oh, he's still building drones, though. He's got a good Forcerling Bane. Not many Banes, though. 6 Banes, about 45 Zerglings will be ready. Shields will not be done. 1-1 is there. Banshee comes back in, picks off 2 more workers. I think the other Banshee did go down as well. Looks like it flew in and died. And BYUN, he's going to try and set up a position. Where does he put the tank? Maybe drop it there and siege it there? 4th command center's on the way for BYUN. This is by no means an all-in. But the Mutas are going to make this a one-way journey. Combat Shields is done in 15 seconds. The tanks are going to move forward and try to get down here. Okay, not great tank positions. It's not bad, but it's definitely not amazing. The Marines should be half spread backwards. Great positioning by BYUN. Baneling speed is ready, remember, and a lot more Banelings finishing. The Queens are there as well. The Marines with a good spready. He sees the Mutas, and immediately BYUN's going to be like, whoa, he's going Mutas this game. What the heck? But a good snipe on the 4th base. That is huge. Very big snipe there. Solar's coming in for an engage. The Queens are tanking. Oh, okay. 2 Queens go down there. Good pickoffs. Very good pickoffs for BYUN. 5th base is almost finished in the top, which will be the new 4th. I'd like to see Solar drop that base in the back as well. His Mutas need to get active on the map. Now, a few turrets did build. Plenty of Marines are ready. And a second factory is building. And that 4th command center is already coming down. This turret on the high ground, not quite ready. BYUN will do a pretty effective Marine split, though. So, Mutas will get an SCV. Don't even quite get the turret there. That should be built. Remember, it'll be burning when it finishes building, though, so he has to repair that one quickly. Otherwise, it will burn down, which very well can happen in this scenario. Oh, BYUN! Oh, he's going to lose everything out here. This is a big problem for BYUN. Yeah, he gets caught on the way home. He should have been a little bit more elusive down here. I would have liked to see him pull back to the bottom left corner of the map. I think if he pulled to the bottom left corner of the map, he might have got out of there and managed to like just camp up on that high ground somewhere where Solar can't find him. But that is a huge pickup for Solar. And now Solar's in a fantastic position. After catching those tanks, 22 tanks, all those Marines, that's massive. BYUN says, well, I've got 4 bases. F you. I'm just going to move out with a double drop and try to surprise you and snipe that hatchery again. It very well may pay off. Infestation pit there for Solar. His 2-2's about a third of the way complete. It's already finished. For BYUN, he's building Thors. We'd like to see Widow Mines for him as well, I would imagine. Yeah, Reactor will be finishing in the near future. And unlike factories that get killed at the front, he's going to have it in the back. So there's no way that factory and the reactor will get sniped down. 3-3 upgrades starting up. Hive has not even started for Solar. Solar's on 12 Mutas, so he's playing more of a macro-ling Bane style with a bit of Muta support. This is not a mass Mutalisk style. He hasn't invested a lot in the Mutas. These Marines just hiding here. If Solar goes for a big attack, BYUN is going to do critical damage to his economy behind it. Hive does start up right now for Solar. Widow Mine production's going. Now, it's really important for BYUN that he keeps hitting the Widow Mines, and he should be dropping some supply drops right now. Builds 3 depots. He did drop 1 supply drop and then got immediately supply blocked again. As it happens, that's how it goes at this stage of the game when your production's this sick. He's up on 8 barracks. He's got 3 tech labs there. Concussive is on the way. He's remembering that. And he's getting vehicle armor as well. That helps for vehicles and medevacs. So Thors, medevacs, mines all just get a little bit tankier. Lots of Lings coming down here. Interesting. Still a very low Widow Mine count, guys. Only 2 Widow Mines are out. Like I said, he's got to keep hitting the Widow Mine production. Otherwise, you end up maxed on almost pure Marine, which... Don't get me wrong, Marines are a very versatile unit, but you better keep those pre-spread, because if you accidentally F2 and clump those up, case in point, this giant blob of Marines moving around the map, you can end up in a lot of trouble. Now, that's about 16 meters. That's enough to easily kill a missile turret, and there's no supply at home, and he's maxed right now, so very good move. If he can get that turret and BYUN doesn't repair, oh, BYUN with a very quick repair. He's going to kill at least a few of these mutas. He gets 2 of them. No, only 1 before getting taken down. Oh, that's very annoying. Going to lose a lot of SCVs. The counter-attack goes in, though. BYUN says, hey, where are your mutas? You're meant to be defending, idiot. He's going to lose a lot of SCVs on his 4th base in the back, but BYUN gets the 5th. He's going to also shove the top at the same time. I don't know if that's going to work. He doesn't have any Widow Mines. Oh, no! BYUN losing a lot of Marines to the Banelings. That's what happens when you try to micro everywhere at once. Everything, everywhere, all at once. It's, yeah... Always really nice to try and overwhelm your opponent, but it does mean things like Banelings on creep are going to tend to beat the crap out of your Marines. This drop gets F2'd to the right there. He's going to try and keep it alive, but not much will go on there. He'd be lucky to kill even a single Mutalisk. He's going to boost to the backside by a bit of time, but Solar's got good map control, and he's going to Ultras and the 3-3 upgrades as well. Going to start to move through the middle. Still only 4 Widow Mines on the map. Huge mistake for BYUN to not keep up that Widow Mine production. When you go late into Widow Mines like this, when you're surprised by the mute attack, it's so important that you remember that Widow Mine production. You can see only a single one queues up there, and that's because in his production cycle, he tends to queue up the other units first. But there we go, 3 Widow Mines building now. He's realizing this army is not what I want. Just add 6 more Widow Mines in here, and it's a perfect army. But I don't quite have them. He's got a good position, though. And even just with the Thors, the Marauders up front, he's got a pre-spread, though. Those Marines cannot be too clumped up. He's got a drop in the north side. Unfortunately for him, the Spore Crawler will be able to take out the medevac, which means no healing. Giant engage on the front, but the Thor Marauder creates an impassable wall. He's going to kill Solar's 5th one more time. Mutas on the backside considering going in, and they find the exposed mineral line one more time. Topside does get defended. Lingbane coming in on the south, though. Solar's lost this base, but he's surviving on 5 bases, and he's ruining the 4th of BYUN in the back. BYUN's going to try and rally Marines, Widow Mines to the back, and hope he can get a defense together. Those Widow Mines can get some shots off. It might make the difference, but nope, they go down before they can shoot. And his army, on the other side, pretty deep on creep. He can't be microing 2 places at once. It's just not really feasible. The Widow Mines do get a shot off on those mutas, do some pretty good friendly fire. In total, only 10 SCVs went down here. This could have been a lot worse for BYUN, but he's got to throw a few more turrets down just to make sure he disincentivizes that happening again. Double drop on the left for BYUN, going to go in. BYUN, of course, is on his last life, remember. If he loses to these Ultras, he's out, and he has not started his Ghost Tech yet. Ghost Academy has not even begun building. He's securing a 5th base now, which is very nice. And neither player has a crazy bank, but it still feels like Solar has the army that's a little bit more able to potentially just roll over him with Mass Bane and suddenly win the game. And the fact that BYUN's pushing on creep with his army on the north presents that opportunity. Oh my god, the meat grinder. The Marines on the south doing so good for BYUN. In the north, his army looks like it's in a terrible position, though. As I said, pushing on creep right now versus the Ultra Bane, not going to be good. He eventually got overwhelmed on the south as well. BYUN throws away a lot of army on the north side. He's got to save that Thor if possible. He's trying to stim backwards. The Thor will get run down. He's trying to build 4 Marauders, 7 Marines at a time. He starts a Ghost Academy, but it's a little bit of an afterthought. You can see he's going to it very late. He's got a few Widow Mines spread throughout. Ultras off creep. One of them does overextend and go down, but the Zergling's going to go for the turret. There's no burrow, so he can't block the base with that. And BYUN is back in turtle mode now. He's like, oh god, you're playing Ultraling Bane. You're just going to try and pick me apart. Solar's got this base back up. Solar's on the 6 bases. He's got the back base. The top base is still healthy. He's taking this one here also. It is 3-3 versus 3-3. Only 2 Ultras in the max in the mix. 12 mutas, Massling Bane. And my god, both players are going to take a moment to breathe. BYUN going to be in a turtley mode. He's like, get the 5th, swap into Ghosts. That's his plan right now. Solar is just going to try and kill him because Solar's ahead on the money. He has a much scarier army because the Banelings, remember, pack a massive punch. They're inefficient units, But if you can kill your opponent's economy with it, it doesn't matter if you're inefficient, you're mining twice as much as them, you're going to win the game. That's going to be his game plan. This planetary on the south is exposed. He's got to try and make this expensive, does BYUN. He's got to kill a lot of these ultras and banes. The planetary disappears. He gets rid of one of the ultras and a few of the banes. Still feels like a discount pick-off there for Solar. Just grabbing a command center and denying it. The Muta's going to come in behind that as well. Very nice moves. Ultralisk does get caught on the army, but the Muta's being a bit of a nuisance. The Thor will push those Mutas back, though. They don't want to get caught in that one. They find a tank. Very nice, that defensive tank. The Bio's shoving forward right now. BYUN is not pre-spread enough. That's a lot of Ling Bane. The Marines do pull back, but my god. Okay, the Marauders with the concussive clump them up. The Widowmine does get taken out, but there's still a pretty scary ground army here for BYUN. He's up 40 army supply right now. The Banelings do not care about that, though. Will they be able to hold on? Solar right now, he needs some proper damage in his army. Where are his Ultras at? Where are his Mutas are going to have to join in the fight? There's still a Thor there. They do take the Thor out, but Widowmine Splash landing on some of those Mutalisks does soften them up. The Marines trying to get away from the Banelings. My god, that's a lot of Banelings. There's no Widowmines left, only one in the very back, and it kills 6 Marines. The Marines are going to go down. He's got to get out of here. Pick up, pick up, pick up. And BYUN does save some of his units. It was a very costly trade there for Solar, but it's worse for BYUN, because remember, his 5th base got denied, and it is not a planetary anymore. It's his main base that's being lifted down. Solar barely overwhelming him, not giving him time to heal his units. The Widowmines take out some Ling Bane, but they do a lot of friendly fire. Whenever you're forced completely on the retreat, Widowmines become a very dangerous unit to your own side. You need to have enough of a front line standing there, gunning down the enemy. But that was not the case. When you're in full retreat, Widowmines can be turned against you, and that's exactly what Solar just did. Solar swarming over the map with Mutiling Bane Ultra, a big, scary, mobile army, and he's utilizing that bank advantage, that 90 worker economy, and he's going to take down the 4th command center. That was the main that was lifted down there, which means back to 3 base income for BYUN, and one of those is, of course, only got 3 mineral patches in the back. BYUN's down in army supply. He never got to Ghost. He doesn't have any other fancy units. Ling Bane Ultra is going to be the answer to him. Even with just 2 Ultras in the mix, they had so much raw damage. The Zerglings, amazing versus the Marauders and Thors. You need a lot of Marines to deal with the Zerglings. You need the Widowmines to deal with the Banelings. You need Marauders up front. You need a Thor or 2 to deal with the Mutas. There's a whole lot of things you need, and it feels like BYUN's army only really has the scraps of the Marine side of that right now. The Banelings just rolling into the mix. A decent Widowmine hit, but he's just getting rolled on over. The medevacs are all deep in the red. The Ling Bane is endless. The right side planetary falls, and BYUN has to tap out. Solar gets the 3-1 victory in a splendid battle on Moondance. An interesting build for BYUN, trying to play some mind games in that one, but you could see it didn't really work out because Solar did not realize, did not scout that he was going for a 2-base push. This is one of those unfortunate games, and probably quite frustrating for BYUN, because the genius of making it look like you're going for a big 2-base all-in against a player who should be really respectful versus that, it got lost in the mix of how good his early pressure was. BYUN's early Banshee hellbat pressure was so good that Solar was so focused on just defending that, he had no scouting. And yet he just assumed it was a macro game afterwards. Because remember here, if we watch during this period, you can watch 6 minutes to 8 minutes. It's double Evo, Spire, 4th hatchery, 5th hatchery, endless droning. And if he'd scouted and seen that there was 3 racks and then didn't spot the 3rd command center in the back, it would be the opposite. He'd be sitting on 60 drones, massing Ling Bane, playing super scared. Instead, he was just like, dude, I've got no cares in the world. I'm going to play the greediest game of StarCraft you've ever seen. Because your early pressure was so powerful, I didn't even think about the possibility of a Marine tank all in off 2 base behind it. So this was meant to pretend like a Marine tank all in. It ended up just being a light Marine tank pressure. Solar was so greedy. Even though he lost this base, he just was in a fantastic position. Hats off to Solar, guys, for playing it out confidently at the end of it. Beautiful to see these 2 players go back and forth. GG, well played. Solar's the champ.